Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of 20 Minutes. And again, always glad to be able to bring you a different interview every week, a couple of interviews a week if things are clicking. And very glad and happy to be able to catch up to this next guest. Someone I've known, wow, going back to when I think he first started as an assistant coach at Marion Central Catholic and spent quite a few years there, and then ended up moving over to Crystal Lake Central and been an assistant, I think, for about 6 years. We'll ask him. And now he's the head man in charge, Dirk Stanger. And Dirk, just it's great to see, as I joked. The older we get, the better looking we get. It's amazing.
Crazy how that works.
Congratulations on the job.
I appreciate that. Yeah, definitely very excited, the opportunity and, great to be a part of the Central family, know what I'm, involved with already and be a great transition.
Yeah, you mentioned already know what you're getting into and being involved. And again, you've been there 6 years. So, I mean, if anyone knows the lay of the land, probably no one knows it as well as you do, and you know exactly what you're inheriting. Um, what is it about that school? What is it about the potential that you see in that program to maybe try to get them? Let's face it, get them at that higher level, which is no small task in the Fox Valley.
Yeah, it definitely isn't. And, that's one thing that, I'm trying to get to the point where what we accomplished last year is the minimum expectation for every season, which is a quarterfinal appearance. And that's the way we kind of operated at Marion. Obviously it typically came down to us and Montini every year in the playoffs. But as far as administration, I've known the athletic director for years. I've known the principal for years, and just great people, very sports minded. So real excited to be involved with that.
Yeah, it definitely was a banner year for Crystal Lake Central and really the Fox. I mean,
Yeah.
it's always a good year. I mean, it's never a bad year in that conference, but you saw the success. I've got to imagine, and I know I got to throw this out there, but now that 6A and below is going to be seeded 1 through 32, could there be a happier conference in the Fox Valley to see that happen?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely going to be nice not having to play one of those guys in the first round or second round, but you never know how it's going to shake out though too. I mean, careful
Yeah.
what you wish for, you just might get it. So
I mean, look at last year. 3 out of the 4 teams in 6A in the semis were from the Fox Valley.
yeah,
So, and again, that's a huge testament to the conference. But
absolutely.
at least, and it's funny because I had the same conversation with Sean Drendel in Naperville North, who ended up playing Naperville Central again, first round in 8A, and his thought was, well, at least under this system, I get it. He
Right.
saw it coming with 1
Yeah.
through 32.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it makes it any better, but maybe it makes
It's
it a little easier to stomach. I
well,
don't
yeah,
know.
it was nothing to complain about. I mean,
No, no.
so
So where are you at with the program right now? I got to imagine just trying to keep and retain some of the guys on the on John McLaughlin's staff, and is that kind of the move for you right now?
yeah, so just kind of getting the staff aligned, and really, there's not going to be many changes at all. We're going to add a coach or two, but everybody is coming back. It's a great group of coaches. I love the approach that they take. I'm big on just making sure that the players know that you care about them, and that's one thing that was always instilled with me. Having somebody like Barry Alvarez coach me, and coaching with Ed Brucker for as long as I did. It's super super important, and yeah, we'll have a real solid staff. I'm excited about.
Um, as far as off season, I've got to imagine you've probably been involved in that already. And one aspect about this job that I thought was really interesting, I know Joe Stevenson did a nice column about it. You're taking a job in a building, which I think has got to be very beneficial for you to be there and to be seen, and talk about how important that is in the bigger picture, especially you now being a head coach.
Yeah, I mean, it's super important to be visible with your kids. I was out of building at Marion, but I felt like I was there nonstop. But so I was always visible to the kids. They're going to work hard when they know you're invested as well. Um, so yeah, just it was kind of a no-brainer to take any position in building, just to be around the guys, see them in the hallways, things like that.
Is it starting, at least from my perspective, Dirk, it seems like we're starting to see more guys getting hired as head coaches from not necessarily in the building teaching the whole teaching side of the perspective. I like that. I mean, I think it gives kids a different window of maybe someone with that outside work experience that has been in the world outside of the teaching education realm. Um, Early on, could that have been a hindrance maybe for as you saw it, as far as trying to project and end up grabbing a head coaching position? Do you think maybe that prolonged your shot, or was it just something where you felt you had to kind of hang in and pay your dues?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it was really a factor as far as any of the other jobs. Um, I think I think it's more of a pay your dues type of situation, to be very honest with you. But it is, like you said, it is becoming more and more common that you do have kind of outside professionals, um, as head coaches, and get involved with the school however they can, and and things of that nature.
Your forte for years has been offense, and you've worked very closely with your quarterbacks. And let's face it, pal, you either are the luckiest guy in the world when it comes to finding quarterback talent, or you've got an eye and a touch, because you have had some. I mean, going back to John Budmeyer, and we can, Billy Ball, and we can start listing off all those Marion quarterbacks that you worked with. And even now at Crystal Lake Central, you've had some really productive quarterbacks. Um, I've got to imagine the wheel's not going to break. You're going to continue to do what you've done offensively. But in that conference, as you all know, you got to be able to play some defense, especially stop the power run game.
Yeah.
So how do you approach that? Are you going to be more hands-on on the defensive side, or just totally stay away from the defensive side and let them do it? What's your kind of approach and plan of attack, as far as, you're the guy in charge of all three phases now, like it or not. So how do you approach, say, that defensive, those guys you don't like, I'm kidding, on the defensive side of the room? So how do you get more involved, or do you get more involved with that side of the ball?
Yeah, no, I definitely want to get more involved. That's for sure, and that's really, the kind of my focus right now is how do you stop PR? How do you stop carry? They're very similar beasts. Um, you definitely can't plan on outscoring them. You look at our PR game this year, where we scored 48 points, but then we gave up a bunch as well. So, but for me, it's what I plan on doing is reaching out to some other coaches that I know, that I have experience with. A guy like, for example, Dave Profit.
Yep.
Known him for years. Very successful defensive coach. You can't dispute, his defenses through the years. But so just kind of tapping into some resources like that to get some advice.
Um, State of the program, numbers, how's it look? Lower levels, how have things look number wise? And do you need to get a little bit after it, trying to build up some numbers, or how are things so far?
Yeah, I mean our numbers. When I first started at Central, it was pretty low, but gradually through the years, it's definitely built up, and to the point this past fall we had 90 plus kids in our program. Um, so I anticipate it being at least that moving forward. My goal is to get us up over the 100 mark. To be honest with you, I think that'll be a good number for a school our size, that's also manageable, with our staff and everything. So, but big thing with us too is promoting, and that's one thing I love about our athletic director is promoting kids to play multiple sports, and so really kind of mandate that I have is, I want our guys to play at least one other sport, and get involved that way as well. So,
you look back, you mentioned some of the coaches that you've been able to play under, work with. I immediately think of Ed Brucker. And what lessons were you able to take from Ed and maybe some of the other coaches that you've been involved with as well over your career?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing with Coach Brucker is that, I learned a ton coaching under him of just about offense and, but also just how to handle kids in general. And kind of made me realize that old school isn't a bad way. I mean, there's a lot of value to it. Can you enhance things with the new age of the game? Yes, but it still boils down to, discipline, competition, making sure guys are in shape, and that's one of the Coach Brucker called me after I was announced the head coach. He's like, make sure they're in shape. That's one of the main things he talked about. So, but then just, again, playing for a coach like Barry Alvarez, Brad Childress, it just, those guys made us know that they care a ton about us, and they still do. I've still had contact with those guys through the years.
Yeah. You mentioned as well relationships and getting to know your kids, and harder now in this day and age, or what has been the struggle with that? And I mean, I could bring up the whole pandemic and how that made it even harder, but is it something that you have to work at maybe a little bit harder now with those relationships as before?
Yeah, I mean, I think you do. I don't necessarily know that you need to work harder at the relationship, but I think there needs to be, more of an emphasis with coaches on just the mental wellness of their players, and you just consider what kids have been through the last, 12 to 18 months alone. There's a lot of changes, so that's really one point of emphasis for me is, just continuing to do what I do, but also kind of raising that level of consciousness as to their mental health as well.
How impactful has technology been for you? When you look back in the Stone Age, when we first started out, minus no huddle, versus now. I mean, do you look at it and think back then and compare it to now and think like, oh my God, God are they spoiled now?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's I remember when I first started at Marion, I was the film exchange guy, so I had to go meet some random person at a gas station
off of I-55, 150 miles away.
Yep. And I'm inside, and I look at every guy walking in. Are you my guy? No, So it's it was definitely weird back then, but I mean, nowadays with huddle and everything you can do as far as analysis and tagging, and there's so much you can do.
Do you have to manage it though? Can you get overloaded on that, especially as a coach? I mean, I know how you dig into everything and dig into game plans, and does it get to a point every once in a while where you almost have to back off just a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think you can overanalyze, things, and that's one thing that I've always tried to still maintain is, just like and that's one thing that Coach Brucker taught me is just the old school way of, charting tendencies, and, it's kind of the Bill Belichick realm of, what he makes his assistants do. And, that's an awesome way to do things. And obviously it's been successful. So, but, definitely take advantage of the technology you have and advancements there, but don't go overboard. I'm not a big analytics guy yet. I believe in it somewhat, but you're going for 4th and 2 on your own 30. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't see the point.
You're not the onside kick guy every kickoff? No, not yet.
No. No.
Okay, I know. I figure I just throw it out there.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting for sure. Fox Valley, as we talked about, I mean, up and down. It's we talked about the uniqueness of the teams that you play. You see literally everything in that conference.
Yeah.
Is there ever discussion of, boy, it'd be nice to get a non-conference game or two involved? Do you think that'll ever happen?
I mean, when you have a 10-team conference, it's hard to justify um, scheduling non-conference games. So, I mean, I don't see, from what I've heard, I don't hear of any changes in the conference or anything like that anytime soon. So,
Yeah, I get it. Why? I mean,
yeah,
it's worked so well.
yeah,
Geographically are all friendly. I mean,
yeah,
there's a little bit of enrollment difference, obviously, with Huntley on the high end, but
right.
seems to work for them as well. So,
Yep.
yeah, I get it. I don't know. I guess now that we have 1 through 32, we can't really complain as much because now at least maybe we'll see Cary Grove hop in a bus in the second round and have to take a trip down south or out west or out somewhere else. And Dirk, you can talk that as well. Your experience playing and even in the early portion of the career. I mean, is there any more fun than hopping in a bus and going 100, 200 miles for a road trip in a playoff game? Talk about that aspect of it that a lot of these kids have never seen, that and the fact that, look, I don't want to know I'm going to play Crystal Lake,
Right.
South, or Cary or Prairie automatically. It's like you could almost expect one of those guys automatically in the second round. So first off, address the whole travel aspect of playoffs under this new system.
Yeah, I mean, that's really how I grew up. My dad coached at Marion for years, and when they were a extremely successful 2A school back in the 80s and 4 state titles, and you're playing teams like Polo and places like that, and that's really what it's all about. It's a great experience for your kids. They learn how to deal with those types of hurdles as far as travel and preparing for a game and those sorts of things. And I even look back to just playing the Wednesday night playoff game and turn around and playing again on Saturday. In fact, I remember playing Woodstock my junior year.
Wow.
And it was
Huge.
4 deep around
absolutely.
the fence. It was nuts, and great game. We lost by 2, but it was great environment. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's only March. It's early March, so we got a ways to go. But what do you got coming back from last year? Who are some of the key kids we need to keep an eye out for?
Yeah, we definitely have a real solid group coming back. Our senior group, we don't have a lot of numbers this next year, but we do have some quality kids that are leaders that are really going to take the reins. And then our junior class is a very strong class. We've got kids the like of Jason Penza. George Demopoulos is going to be a very, very good wide receiver. I will tell you that. Even have another quarterback, Caden Casamino, who is a very good quarterback. I mean, I'm very blessed there to have 2 guys that are.
Here we go again.
Good. Yeah. So, but offensive line, we got some holes to fill. We had 4 out of 5 that graduated. So, some spots there, but receiver wise, I think we're in good shape. And defensively, senior like Jack Blum, Hunter Dobke coming back. So I think we definitely have some viable candidates to fill some of the holes.
So you've got the keys of the machine now. You're running it. It's your program. Anything you want to implement? Anything maybe in the back of your mind is, you know what, I'm going to try this, or boy, this uniform scheme would be kind of cool. Something to that effect. Is there anything at the top there that maybe you're in the back of your mind, you're thinking about? There's a couple of things we might want to try.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely the kids are excited about some new uniforms. Obviously, that happens a lot when you have a coaching change. Give that coach a chance to put his stamp on things. But yeah, there's some little things like that. But also some just overall things in our program as far as developing our guys, the leadership aspect, creating a leadership council so that there's accountability of the players. That's one thing, just doing some exit interviews this past season is, something the kids are looking for, is they want people to expect more out of them, and be more accountable. So just kind of teaching those types of characteristics. The kids are great. I mean, they're great kids. They, good students as well, but, it's, as a coach, what makes me feel successful is when a kid invites me to his wedding, down the road, or he calls me, say, "Hey, coach, we're having our first kid," or he wants to come back and coach on your staff. That's success for me, as far as that goes.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, hey, your sentence is up. I told you I wouldn't kill you too much with too many hard hitting questions, but man, I'm thrilled for you. Like I said, I joked with you. It's about damn time you finally got a head job somewhere. But my friend, well deserved and well earned. So I'm happy for you. Happy for Crystal Lake Central, and just best of luck. Look forward to seeing you a little bit down the road, and just go get them.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. Thanks for everything you do, Edgy.
All right, that's Dirk Stanger, new head coach at Crystal Lake Central. Thanks, everybody. We'll have another edition coming up soon.